Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 121 of Teaching Tales, the podcast totally devoted to sharing stories from the world of education. I'm your host, Brent Coley. I am a 30-year educator in beautiful Southern California, and it's been a minute, actually 7 months since the last episode of the podcast. But I'm back. I am excited to share today. If you've seen the title of this episode, it's called Acknowledge the Stink. And what I want to share today is what I consider to be an often overlooked leadership strategy, but one that I find to be incredibly effective. And I call it acknowledge the stink. So I want to give you a couple examples of what I'm talking about. And this is going to apply regardless of your role in terms of leadership. So if you see the word leader and say, well, I'm not a leader, I'm just a teacher. No. Teachers are leaders. You're leading students. So this applies whether you're a teacher, whether you're a site administrator, district administrator. It's going to apply to pretty much anybody. So let me give you a couple examples. When I was a principal at the elementary level, soon after I got the role, the city where the school was in repaved and repainted the main road right in front of our school. And it eliminated a ton of street parking. So parking that our families, our parents used to enjoy almost overnight went away. So you can probably guess I had a lot of parents coming up to me like, Mr. Coley, this stinks. Where are we supposed to park? We don't have anywhere to, now we have to walk long distances when we drop our kids off and pick them up. And the reality of the situation was it was not a school decision. It wasn't my decision. It wasn't a district decision. It was something that the city had done. But rather, when a parent came to me with that concern, with that complaint, rather than saying, well, it wasn't my fault, like wasn't my decision, I decided to lead with what I call acknowledge the stink, or if you will, acknowledge the suck. Basically saying, if they came to me with a complaint, I would say like, gosh, it stinks, doesn't it? Like, yeah, you know what? I completely understand. I was almost as frustrated as you when I heard that they were going to do that, because what they didn't want to hear in that moment was they didn't want to hear that it wasn't my fault. Essentially, they want to feel heard. So basically, I would lead with, yeah, you're right. It does stink. I can't believe how many parking places we lost. Then I could move into, yeah, unfortunately, like this, something that the city decided to do. And then I could say, you know, I do want to let you know, I am working on setting up a meeting with the city to see if perhaps maybe on the other street, on the other side of the school, if we could open up some additional parking over there. So I just want you to know, I hear you. It stinks. All that parking that we used to have is gone. I'm not going to tell you like you're overreacting, because I don't think you are. It stinks. And I'll tell you, parents, because by doing that, they realized they almost felt like I was on their side. I agreed with them. They felt heard. Let me give you another example. Double parking in the parking lot. When I was a principal, there were a lot of people who did not follow the rules and would double park in the parking lot, despite the fact that in our newsletters that we were sending home, I made videos out about it. I was in the parking lot every morning and every afternoon, making sure that people were following the rules. When my back was turned, people were still double parking. So I would have parents come to me frequently. Mr. Coley, there's all the double parking. Once again, I could have said like, well, I put it in the newsletter, what you're going to do. But instead, I acknowledged the stink. I acknowledged the suck. Like, gosh, it stinks, doesn't it? Mr. Smith, I hear you, man. I'm just as frustrated as you are with the double parking. This stinks. And I hear you. I mean, like, I've put in the newsletter, again, not leading with, well, what are you going to do? Leading with, I hear you. This stinks. Then I could move into, yeah, I mean, like, was put it in the newsletter. I've got the videos. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. I'll tell you, I hear you. I feel your pain. Just the other day, and this is a true story, I had to go to a meeting at the district office, and I went out to my car. Someone was double parked behind my car, and I couldn't get out. And I ended up being a couple minutes late to my meeting because we had to flag down the person who was double parked. So But again, by leading with this stinks. I agree. This stinks. This sucks. It brings their frustration level down because they feel like, oh, I've got an advocate. I've got somebody who's on my team. Um, uh, Mask mandates. Nobody, I don't want to talk about this, and we're not getting political right now. But when we came back from COVID and there were mask mandates in our counties, nobody wanted to wear masks. And the number of times parents came up to me saying, Mr. Coley, I don't agree with having to wear masks, or I do agree with having to wear masks. The last thing they wanted to hear from me was, well, what you gonna do? That's the rules. I didn't. They wanted to hear, like, they thought it stunk, and it's just like, you know what? I agree with you. It stinks. This is definitely not what we're used to. This is definitely not normal. Then I would go into, unfortunately, this is the mandate, and I am tasked. I don't have the choice of deciding whether we're going to or not going to do that. I kind of have to do that. But I hear you. This stinks. This is not what we're used to. This is not ideal. And the number of times people walked away from conversations like that because they felt heard. I was not their enemy. I was somebody who I basically said, like, I agree with you. This stinks. I'm not going to tell you to pretend that everything is okay and there's rainbows and unicorns, because it's not. I'm not going to insult you. And oftentimes I would even say that. I'm not going to insult you and tell you that, what's your problem? You're overreacting. Everything is great, because it's not. But I have found, and I hope, sorry that I feel like I'm rambling here, but I just acknowledge the stink, acknowledge the suck. This stinks. This sucks. If a teacher, when teachers would say, Mr. Coley, Brent, we need more support. The reality of the situation was, I'm not in HR, and I was not the one who got to decide how much aid support we got. But that's not what my teachers wanted to hear. So what I would choose to do, acknowledge the suck, say like, "Oh, I know, I am so sorry that we don't have more support for you. You 100% could benefit from more adults right now. And I just want to acknowledge what you're doing in there with the little support that you have, the limited support that you have. You are phenomenal. And I am so appreciative of what you're doing. I'm going to continue to talk to HR to see what we can do." So notice how I'm still going to recognize, like, this isn't necessarily my decision, but I led with, you're right, this stinks. This sucks. We could use more aid support. That way the teacher knows, hey, Brent's listening to me. Brent's listening to me. He's an advocate for me. Even if it's something that I can't change this. And let me just finish with a personal example, because if you're listening to this and you're not in education or something like that, this same principle applies to relationships. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. When my wife and I were dating, before we were married, my wife was working multiple jobs. We were both in college. We were. She was working multiple jobs. One of those jobs was a graveyard shift, meaning that she was, I mean, the hours, she was all messed up because she was working so much. I was working a lot as well. And the graveyard shift, we didn't get to see each other as much as we would have liked to. And I remember at the time, it's kind of like, I was thinking, like, this stinks. This sucks. I wish I could see her more. And she felt the same way. But if I went to her and was like, oh my gosh, I wish I could see you more, she couldn't change that. She did not. It was outside of her power to change that. But I didn't necessarily want her to change that. Honestly, at that time, when she would just acknowledge the suck, like, oh, you're right, Brent, this stinks. I wish I could see you more. Done. Like, honestly, that made me feel good, because it's like I knew it was beyond her power to change that. That was just the stage of life we were in. I knew she couldn't change it. All I wanted her to do was acknowledge the suck. And I think that in our relationships, and I am not a relationship coach or anything like that, but I know that, like, in my professional life, I think I do a better job than in my personal life. That as men, oftentimes, what do we try to do? We try to fix things. And so many times Jill will come to me and she'll be venting about something, and I immediately try to what? I try to fix it. Rather than sometimes she just wants me to acknowledge the stink, to acknowledge the suck. Oh, babe, that sucks. That stinks. You're right. I am so sorry that you're having to deal with that. Because she knows I can't fix necessarily what's going on at work or what was happening on the freeway on the way home. Sometimes just acknowledging the stink, acknowledging the suck. There, and I have had times where teachers will walk away and just say, "Thanks for listening. I know that you're not able to do anything, but I appreciate you listening." And all of it, just acknowledge the suck. Acknowledge the suck. Because if you try to ignore it, they're smart, whether it's students or adults. They know. It's like, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to insult you by saying, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's fine, because it's not always fine. So anyway, that is a long-winded way of saying that this is something that if you have not tried this, I would strongly encourage you. The next time a parent, if you deal with parents, if they come with a concern, a complaint, if it's something that's outside, regardless, when they come to you, acknowledge the suck, acknowledge the stink. If it's something, oh my gosh, that stinks. If I was in your situation, I would be frustrated too. Then you can go into whatever it is that you need to say, whether it's outside of your power or you're working on it and you're frustrated too. But when you lead with acknowledgement, I acknowledge your frustration. I hear you. This stinks. This is less than ideal. You are taking any anger, any frustration, any heightened emotion, you are reducing that, and you are going to have a much better chance of having a productive conversation. So, anywho, hopefully this resonates. Hopefully it makes sense. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for being patient. If this is your first time listening, I'm glad you found the podcast. If you are a longtime listener, thanks for your patience. It will not, I'll make a commitment. It will not be 7 months before the next episode's coming out. I want to get kind of back more into the swing of it, whether it's solo episodes like this or with a guest, like I had with my friend John in episode 120. So anyway, if you haven't already done so, remember, subscribe in your favorite podcast host, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or you can listen directly on the podcast page on my website at brentcoley.com. So once again, when things aren't going great, acknowledge it. Acknowledge the stink, acknowledge the suck, and hopefully things will go a little more smoothly for you. Thanks, everyone. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for listening. Till next time, have a good one.